Every single time we get a brand new 2K, I see people make the same mistake, whether it was in 2K24, 2K25, or now going to be in 2K26. What you guys do is you get on the game day one, you're all excited, you search up your favorite YouTuber's build video, bam, $100 down the drain, you make the build, for then 1 week later, you instantly regret making the build and the build plays like absolute garbage. Which is why I will be giving y'all the keys in today's video to ensure that you can make the best build possible day one of NBA 2K26. And everything in today's video will apply to whether you're making a guard, a lock, a center, it doesn't matter, it works for every single type of build. Now before we get into things, y'all know the motto in 2025, stay blessed, not stressed. Let's get this video going. So we're gonna head on into the builder, and yes, I know the builder can change between now and 2K26, but again, it's the way we're gonna make this build, the philosophy that we're gonna use is what matters here. It's not the actual builder itself. And what do I mean by this? We're gonna go to our center builds, for example, to start off here. When making a center build, again, you want to think of what is constantly the meta in 2K, what is constantly successful, what is constantly not a bad build. And with centers, the easiest thing to do is to make an inside center. Why? Because we know no matter what game we're playing, if you have this rebound 95 plus, you're gonna rebound the ball. If you have your standing dunk on 90 plus standing dunk, you know you're gonna dunk the ball. All right, this is what I mean when making these builds. You want to take guarantees. What people do wrong is you shoot for the stars day one with your build, and that is not the way to go about it, because on day one everything changes, you know, from there on out, in weeks and months and patches and all that. Animation requirements are going to change, the meta is going to change, everything changes, so it's impossible to build the best build day one. So what you want to do is create the safest builds that you know are not going to be bad. So when it comes to centers, we know inside centers are always going to be dominant. You make a paint piece day one, you're always going to be dominant. There's no ifs or buts about it. That has been the case in every single 2K of my life that I have played, dating back to 2K16. And when you get into, like, you know, what height to make it and stuff like that, again, think with common sense. You want to build a balanced build. We're not shooting for the stars, remember that. So yes, sometimes the meta is a 6'8 or a 6'9 center, sometimes it's a 7-foot center. So what do? You use your head and you think, okay, let me just go in the middle. If I'm 6'10, 6'11, yes, I know it's not going to be the best height to go, but it's going to be better than 7 feet and it's going to be better than 6'9. Like, you're right in the middle. So no matter which way the meta's falling, you're kind of close to it, and that's what matters here. We just don't want to be wrong when making our build. We just want to be close enough to what the meta is and what's going to be good right away. And essentially that's what it comes down to, using this same philosophy for every build you make. So let's go to our small forwards. Let's say you're making a lockdown. Where do you think I'm going with this? Every year, every single 2K, what do lockdowns have? Max wingspan. You want to be able to play defense, you want max wingspan. There has never been a year where a lockdown does not have max wingspan. That doesn't exist. So you're making that thing max wingspan. And what are you doing with your attributes? You're obviously going to max out your perimeter defense, your steal, obviously not 99, but close to it, 90 plus, 95 plus. What else are you looking for in lockdown? You're going to want that agility. You're going to want that speed. And yes, we're not going to have the exact numbers and, you know, the most perfect thing in the world. But again, you make this build day one, you know, max perm, max steal, max speed, max agility. You're going to play defense, and that's what you want out of your build, and you're going to be very, very good at it compared to some other people are going to be trying to finagle it, making, you know, 88 perimeter defense, 87 steal, you know, trying to mess with the animation requirements, badge requirements, and they're going to make their build a lot more worse because of it, while you're going to be elite at what you want to do. And that is the most important thing to have day one of 2K26. And really, as a whole, when it comes to center and lockdown builds or spot up builds, those are the easiest builds to make. It is really hard to make a bad build day one with those, you know, type of builds. Where it really gets complicated is when you get into your point guard, because that's where the meta is completely different every single year. You know, start of the year in 2K25 this year, you know, we saw a lot of super small guards, you know, then it went to super tall guards, then you went to the middle. There's always a constant shift. So again, in that situation, what do? If you make a 6'3", 6'4" guard, you're in the middle, you're not too short, you're not too tall. Again, you're not going to be the best build in the game, but you're going to be good enough and probably better than the people who make one that's against the meta. all right, which is what we're trying to go for here. There has never been a meta in this game where a 6-7 point guard is dominant and then a 5-7 point guard is dominant. That just doesn't exist, all right? So when you have people making builds on either side of the meta, going in the middle, you're not going to be totally off, but they will be. One of those people will be very, very bad with their builds, and that is what we want to avoid, so we don't have to waste tons of money and stuff week 1, month 1 of NBA 2K26. And again, this is where I talk about familiarity with the other 2Ks, previous 2Ks you've played. You already know I'm making a point guard build. If you want to dunk the ball, you more or less should have memorized the exact animations. It's the same ones every year. You know where the requirements are at. You get a 70 dunk, you're gonna get a good amount of those. You get an 80, you're gonna get a couple extra good ones. So just play with what you know when you're making these builds. Go off past, you know, history. The only thing that's ever changing when making builds is the meta of the game and the actual gameplay, right? And truthfully, nobody knows that day one, which is why when you go into these videos and you see people, yes, they're just trying to help you make the best builds possible based on what we see in the builder, but we don't know how the game plays, which is why it's really important to just go off prior knowledge and make the safest build possible. You already know, get the 3-point shot up. You know, if you have a 93-point shot, whether the shooting's easy, the shooting's hard, you're going to be able to shoot. Again, even if the game is RNG like it was this year, you don't want an 83-pointer. You want the highest 3-pointer possible on your build. So it's just using common sense stuff like that when making these builds, and that's truly what's going to allow you guys to have a very safe and successful build to start the year off, which is what we're all searching for. We don't want to waste $200-300 day one of NBA 2K26 playing around with builds, because I've been there. I've made builds and then, you know, have to make a new one a week later because I feel like I'm out of the meta, and it's because I met with a very risky build that didn't really work in that meta. And it's why I can't not stress it enough, y'all. Please just make a safe build. Go with what you know works, and I promise you guys, you will be a-okay. And yeah, that's pretty much all I got for you guys. You know, obviously as we get closer to 26 and we start seeing stuff about the builder come out, see stuff about the gameplay come out, any new badges or takeover stuff like that, as news continuously drops, I will be making, you know, brand new videos as we get closer and closer to help you guys, you know, dominate in 2K26 and make the best build possible. But yeah, this is all I got for this one. I'll see y'all in the next one.